Got it. Alrighty, so we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. And before we get started, I just want to, everyone knows that Kevin and Paul have felt the need to resign from the board. Kevin was one of our founding members, and Dave was, Paul was a couple of months after that. So they were really important for different reasons. Kevin really had his hand and his finger on the pulse of Newburgh and was doing great work. I think that's what's taking him away from the land bank. He's got a lot of work to do. And Paul, being the numbers man, was invaluable for a lot of stuff that I don't understand. And I know that both his family and his work have created, the need is there right now. So Paul said if there's anything we can, if we need any help at this point or any other time, to give him a call, and he'd be glad to help out on a case-by-case basis. So that's good news. I'd like a motion to approve the July minutes.
I'll make the motion, David.
I'll second that.
All righty, David and Ally. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Carried. Now to the financial report. Jennifer, why don't you give us a little quick overview and then see what kind of comments we have.
Well, yeah. On paper, I don't think it looks as bad as it is, but you know, we are you know, we came out with a net profit by the at the end of the month of September. Our main expenses have been related to typical operating costs and the 4 ongoing renovation projects on Johnston and Lander Street. And we've, you know, continued to spend the remainder of our enterprise grant. That's basically the income that is being shown. And that is basically it.
All righty. Does anybody have any comments or questions about the reports?
I don't have any.
I was hoping to hear from you, David. Thank you. All righty. May I have a motion to approve? Let's approve each month separately. I think it's a little cleaner that way. So may I have a motion to approve the July report?
Lisa, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, Ramona beat you out again, Ally. So Joe and Ramona, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll raise your hands. Aye. Everybody, okay. And nobody's against that. Okay. A motion to approve the August report.
So moved.
I'll second.
I'll second. Okay.
Okay, I got Dave in that one. Okay, Ally and Dave, all in favor? Hands are aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. September meeting. Financial report, acceptance, motion.
You can make that motion, Lisa.
Thanks, Joe. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ally. All in favor? Aye.
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 Alrighty, carried. Next, 2 board members. I contacted these 2 people as, you know, good possibilities. I spoke I spoke first with Arhelia. I knew Arhelia when she served on the planning board several years ago. She's just very professional. I really liked working with her. Her job and family interfered, so she stepped down, I think in 2018, something like that. But it turns out she bought 53 Farrington from us. And seems that she and her family are very happy that now there. I can't tell you what she does for work. I know she's working from home, and her schedule is flexible enough that she can make herself available, because I know we're having such a hard time coming up with dates and times. And I think it's great to have somebody who has gone through the process of buying a home from the land bank, but has gone through that enough years ago that it's we no longer have that connection with her. She's out on her own and doing well, and her family. Any questions or comments concerning Arhelia?
I just
I'll
have
echo
one
what
question,
you
Lisa, I
said.
think.
Ally?
Go ahead, Ally.
I'll just echo, I mean, I worked with her on the planning board, and I think, you know, a wonderful person. She was always showed up on time, participated well on the planning board, and also therefore has experience being on a board, which I think is helpful as well. I think to be able to get a habitat homeowner, a land bank homeowner who meets those criteria is a win-win.
And was it Joe or Dave was going to speak?
Yeah, it's David. You know what? I don't know this candidate, but obviously I trust everyone's opinion who does know her and feels strongly. I think it would, just from my perspective, and I don't think it would hold up a nomination or a vote, but I would like to know what she does professionally, only to the extent that part of the benefit of creating a board is people with complementary skills. So it's, you know, if she doesn't have complementary skills, let's say, to someone already on the board, it would not negate her candidacy in my mind, but I think it would be good to know because particular skills that people can bring to the table always add value. But you know, I don't know her, but you all speak so highly of her, and on paper, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I defer to those who know her and support it if there's a sense to do that.
That's my fault, David. When I spoke with her, she did tell me what company she works for, and I don't want to even, I'm not sure exactly what she told me she did or what company it was, except to say I think it was a pretty major company, and it had something to do with, I think, customer retention or liaison or something. But that's my fault, and I will contact her and just ask her for that specific.
Lisa, if I can speak, I remember when I was on planning as well, and she came on to planning, always very professional, you know, very dependable. And I want to say that I think she has something to do with accounting, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think she would be great to add to the board.
Okay. Well, I have no problem waiting until next month to have her voted on. But as I said before, I think she'll make a good candidate, but I totally understand needing a little bit more of a CV on a person before we just say, yeah, welcome aboard. All right, so let's table that nomination until next month. The next person is Ivor, he pronounces it Ivor Anthony Hall. He goes by Ivor. He applied, well, Jen, you talk about Anthony. Ivor, excuse me.
Yeah, well, he had, well, a few years ago, he actually applied to purchase a land bank property, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then recently he did apply to one of our positions, but that didn't, I don't think we were able to offer what he needed. But he has a significant background in construction oversight, you know, both from like a more corporate level and from a large nonprofit in New York City. He has some community service experience in Newburgh, so he lives in the town of Newburgh, but he attends, I think, religious services in the city of Newburgh, and has been involved in like athletic stuff with youth, coaching. He worked at Chase Bank for many years. I think I shared his resume, so you all have that information. And it seems like his demeanor is very settling, I guess. He seems like he could provide a lot of expertise in construction. He offered that to us, at the time that he was applying for the job, that he would be interested in volunteering and offering that expertise. So I had thought of him as a good candidate for the board for that reason.
And when we interviewed him and he was not offered the position, he was, very gracious about it and said, I'd, like to help in some capacity at some time. If you think you need me, let me know. So he was very enthusiastic when I spoke to him about the position, and I just got an email from him today saying I had sent him a note, and he, thanked me for sending a note, and just had both of the candidates go to our website and review all the information that's there, and so he just thanked me for that. So he's very enthusiastic, and he comes across that way too. He's not real. I'm not going to say he's not quiet, but he's enthusiastic. So I like him, and I think he would make a nice addition to our board. Any comments about Ivor?
I think he sounds like a great fit. Yeah. Go ahead, Allie.
Go ahead, David.
You're on, David.
Okay. No, I'd say it sounds like a great fit. Obviously, enthusiasm, dependability. He's got experience working on the corporate level and on the construction level. It sounds like there's a lot of skills he can bring along with his enthusiasm. So I'd be very happy to consider him and put his nomination up for a vote. I also just wanted to comment on the first candidate. My comment about understanding where she works, to me, should not in any way delay the nomination. If several other board members know her and feel strongly about her, I would have absolutely no issue in going ahead with a vote today. I don't think her work experience is contingent, in my mind anyway, on her ability to be an effective board member. So if there's a desire for, I think, the entire group to vote on both candidates today, I personally don't know how everyone else feels. I don't see any issue with voting on both candidates today.
Okay, thank you. Allie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, when I read the resume of Ivor, I guess my question, and maybe you explained it a little bit, it didn't seem to have any connection to Newburgh. So, I mean, that would be my concern. He doesn't live here. It doesn't say on his resume that he goes to church here. Maybe that is, that it was explained differently, but that's just my one question is did I miss a cover letter? All I saw was a resume, but maybe.
Yeah, I didn't share the cover letter because it was from when he applied for the job. I didn't know if that would be appropriate. Okay. It wasn't that he didn't get into very many personal things in the letter. It was more in our conversations with him at the time. He shared that he does, grocery shopping in the city. He does and church services and things like that.
Odd comment because we have no grocery stores. So I mean,
well,
that's those kinds
I think you said a fish store specifically.
Goes to Sally. See, yeah. Things like that. That to me, I'm not sure. I don't know this guy at all. But that's when I read his resume. I go to Pete's Hot Dogs once a month. Doesn't mean that you understand the needs of the city of Newburgh. So maybe a cover letter from him for me would why he's interested in being on the board. I mean,
Right.
Aurelia lives in a land bank house on Farrington Street. I have a full faith that she understands the land bank, what we do, and the needs of Newburgh.
Right.
That's a good point. Very good
Right.
point, Ally.
Yeah, I agree with Ally as well.
Okay,
And again,
Well, I
I
can
never talked to this guy, and all I got was a resume. So when I initially read it,
Right.
that was my thoughts. If there's deeper stuff, it absolutely well may be there, and you guys may know that.
but I think you're right. It was light on Newburgh connection. Yeah, I think he lives in the town. Not positive. I don't have his resume in front of me. But yeah, I didn't see anything that he had worked on that specifically referred to the city of Newburgh. So yes, I can contact him and ask him for some further information. I don't have a problem
So
with
the
that.
one thought I have on that, as a non-Newburgh resident, I think that, and I think it's good that Lisa flushes more of this out. At the same time, I feel like if there's someone who we can drill down on the expertise, and if they have the interest and the enthusiasm and they can add skills, I don't know, that they should be disqualified because they don't live in Newburgh or they maybe haven't done enough in Newburgh. It's just my thought. I feel like we're looking for smart, committed, engaged board members who either know what they know or want to learn and want to be a part of it. So it sounds like, and I don't know this person, but they sound like a very professional candidate for consideration. So certainly I think they need to express to us what their interest is and why. And we can, if people, sounds like there's a sentiment to table that nomination until the next meeting. But from my perspective anyway, I think someone can demonstrate a real interest in being part of the board and show why without necessarily having to validate their Newburgh credentials per se. Just my opinion.
I wholeheartedly agree, David. I think you the why is what I'm getting at. Why is he interested in the board? Just learning more about that.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
I agree. I don't, what you see on paper, what we saw when we spoke with him, he may have a lot of the credentials we're looking for, but is it about Newburgh or is it about himself? I don't know. And I think that might be something we need to flesh out. So I will sending a note asking that he write us, or a short why Newburgh? What do you see happening? What's your interest, kind of thing. Just as a follow-up, because I told both candidates that we would talk about it, but I didn't know when we would take a vote. So I think it's best to table both candidates until the November meeting and get a little bit more information from both of them. Sound good? All righty, that's what we're doing. Leviticus loan.
Yeah, so as we've been discussing in previous meetings, I applied for a loan with Leviticus Fund to basically a bridge construction loan to complete the house to home projects, 27 and 43 Johnston and 115 and 150 Lander. The loan has been approved by their credit committee. We have a commitment letter, which I believe I shared. It's for $675,000. This loan I applied for back in January, and so for various reasons, it's taken a long time to get approved. And so we're kind of in this place where we needed to move to closing ASAP because we're spending down a lot of our own money in reserves to cover the construction costs. So I believe we need to get a resolution from the board in order to actually close on the loan. And so I want, you know, to take on that debt. And so just so it's clear, the debt will be paid off by the sale of those homes. So at each home sale, we'll be paying off a quarter of the loan from the sales proceeds.
All right.
Jen, the question on this. So the loan is for 675. There's
Mhm.
no provision in the sale of these properties for any profit for the land bank. We think that the sale prices on an aggregate basis probably won't exceed the 675.
Well, no, it will. It will pay back, the sale proceeds will pay back some of what we've invested already. You know, from our own equity, plus the loan. And then hopefully there's a small amount of profit that we can then, you know, continue to invest in other properties.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, so what would the sale price, what are we estimating the sale price for each of the properties?
So that was going to be another topic, but we can talk about it now.
Sure.
My recommendation for so 3 of the homes are 2 families. And one of them, 43 Johnson, has 3 units. And so for the 2 families, my recommendation was going to be 260,000. And for the 3 family, 280,000.
Okay. And
That's
Do
well below.
Do we have MLS? Do we have any MLS comps that kind of give us comfort around those numbers, higher or lower? Have we done that, or how did we arrive at
Yeah,
the estimate?
well, we had them appraised, you know, which was a requirement of the loan. They all appraised for over 300,000. It was like between 305, I think, and 325. This is, you know, our original idea was targeting 80% area median income. The 260,000 would be significantly lower than that. So it'd be affordable to a broader range.
I don't think that's correct. I don't understand how that math would work.
Do you have different numbers for 80 for?
Well, right, so because you're adding on to that $10,000 a year in taxes. And so their monthly payment will absolutely be higher than 30% of their income at 80%.
Well, so there are a couple of other things. So they would be eligible for the city's historic tax credit for the first 10 years. So 5 years, year 1 to 5, the taxes would be assessed based on the pre-renovation value. And then for year 6 through 10, it would increase by 20%. So that's you know, at least for the first 10 years, a significant help. There's going to be income from the rental units. And then there also are additional home buying grants available that will reduce the purchaser's cost. So there's, and this is, you know, available through Pathstone. They can help qualify buyers through Pathstone and RDEC in Walden. There's the Sony May down payment assistance. There's Sony May home improvement loans or grants, up to $20,000. There, I think the down payment is up to $7,500 assistance. And then there are also through RDEC, they have set aside AHC, which is Affordable Housing Corporation grants that, depending on someone's income, could be up to $40,000. So there's a lot of way, and there's also I was told home grants that could be made available, I believe, through both Pathstone and RDEC for acquisition and improvement costs. That's about $10,000. So, you know, it depends on the buyer how they're eligible for all of these different things, but there are ways to bring down the cost to the buyer. But this is what I've determined we really can afford to do, given how much we've had to invest in the properties.
okay, well, let's just look at 43 Johnston, 3 family. You want to have it at 260. You said that the appraisal came in at, do you know the exact number of the appraisal?
For that one, I have to. So 43, I was thinking would be a little higher because it has 3 units. Just trying to find where I have it saved. Hold on. Hmm. Sorry, my is opening very slowly. So we had it appraised for as is and as built. What is this? Okay, sorry. So I'm sorry, the as is was 130,000. That was prior to us doing any renovations. I know I have it in a chart somewhere, but I don't remember where that was saved.
Jen, pipe back in when you've got your information. Ally, give me some more of your thoughts on this.
So, I mean, we can say it all we want. I don't think that's generally affordable, but I understand that we need to make money. So I'm wondering, to sustain the land bank and do other things, is there a way to balance these 4 properties potentially that 2 are reasonably affordable and to residents of Newburgh, and 2, we can make money if the appraisals are much higher and gives us some more breathing room. I think that would be a helpful thing. If there's some way to balance this, or just say these 4 we can't, but I think we should have down the line what the ones that we are offering at a generally affordable price are. It's 260 to 280, that's hard to qualify for. You need a good amount of solid long-term income to qualify for the mortgage. The taxes are high, even if they're abated, all of that. It's just, I worry about that long term. I also, a little worried about the market sustaining that forever and ever. But those are my concerns. I think we need to talk now about a balance. David, what was it like 9 months ago? We were freaking out that we were over, in the 100,000 selling properties, but now we're at a point where I think we should talk about the balance.
Well, and I agree with you. I think the concern I have about these 4 is between what our renovation cost is and we're putting a $675,000 loan on the books, I'm nervous that unless these four have certain stipulations fundamentally in what they are, in terms of they have to be positioned a certain way, or there's statutory reasons why these fall into a certain program category, I would be anxious to do anything under appraisal on these, because the land bank candidly doesn't have a committed financial structure going forward, and I don't know how we can sustain ourselves if we literally are going to lose money on these four properties between our investment income in the renovation plus the loan repayment. So I agree we need to find the balance. I just don't know if it's these four properties, because the land bank is not in a position to lose money. And I don't have all the data in front of me, but the land bank, I think we would all agree, is not fundamentally in a position to absorb a loss on properties that are this size with this much money invested.
So the appraised value of 43 Johnston after renovations is 350,000. I mean, one thought is that we could, if somebody is not eligible for any of those grants, but we want to accept their application for other reasons, we could look into lowering the price for that individual for particular building.
I think we got to be very careful in the public markets to manipulate how pricing is done. I don't think that's a great.
Mhm.
I'm not saying there's a legality issue, but I think that gets very tricky where we're positioning the price for a certain candidate to purchase a property. I think that gets into a slippery slope of you kind of then don't have any rules. It's just my perception. I think if this appraised value is $350,000 and we decide that 80% AMI means that it should be priced at $205, I don't think we're in a position to lose the $150,000 as the land bank in income by
Right.
selling it at 205 or 180 or whatever the math says it should be for the 80% AMI, 30% of income going to monthly rent or monthly mortgage. These just may not be those properties.
Yeah, I mean, my thought was that the grants would make it substantially more affordable for people.
I get it. Grants are okay. I mean, if we can help people become eligible, if we can lead people in the right direction, if there's things we can procure on their behalf, I'm all for that. What I'm saying is, I think it's a bit of a slippery slope if we start picking the price to the candidate.
Right.
When people could have that's in the public domain, and I just think that's, like I said, I think that's a little bit of a slippery slope.
Understood.
That's just my
I
opinion.
think-
Allie or Ramona, others may feel differently. I don't know.
I mean, I think that I agree with you, David. And it's really, it's unfortunate how the housing market has gone. I mean, it's in order for us to make back the money and not lose any funds, it's, what's it, the house is appraised at, it's just unbelievable to me. But, I shouldn't be surprised. This is where the market is heading. And even with all the grants that are available, I'm hoping that, who the homeowner can apply and is eligible for these grants, because God knows they're going to need it in order to purchase this house and sustain themselves moving forward. But with the taxes alone, I'm concerned.
But David, to your point, one, we can't lose money. We are not an organization that is set up to fund homeowners. That's not what the land bank does. If there were properties, it's going to be hard to find properties that a person, general working stiff, can afford, considering the shape of most of these houses and what we have had to put into them to get them at least stabilized. and then to make our money back and, a few dollars to cover administration or whatever else kind of costs, which wouldn't be much. The idea is just to break even, but to keep ourselves afloat. We can't afford to sell these properties below market and expect to be able to move forward as an organization. And I don't have an answer to it. I think, making people aware and having someone who could guide them through the process of getting grants and whatever else, loans, etc. But then, you say, okay, for you, it's this price, and for you, it's that price. We can't do that. We can't do it.
I think, aren't you, I don't know how we're going to do this, whether it's going to be an MLS listing or we'll take bids from people on each property, but the market will dictate the value. And then if it's affordable for renters and or someone for home ownership, they have to do that math. They have to figure out what the value is, what they would bid. And then if it comes back, it's only 200,000 or 150,000, whatever it is, If people aren't willing to spend 300, then the market will dictate. I just think you need to, they're sort of combined. You do the loan to get to get where we want to go, as long as we're not losing money, and then the sale price will be dictated by the market. Sort of my two
I agree.
cents.
I have, I don't know if this is a good moment to share Melsina Canigan, she's listening in on the Zoom, sent an email that she wanted to share that is related to this issue. I don't know if I can read.
Darius, I sent you a chat about this. We generally don't take comments from the audience, and I didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we received the email. I think the whole board looked at it and can absorb it. I think we're not ready to go out to sale on these properties right now anyway. We're still in the process of renovating. And I think her comments that I've read seem to be in a situation where someone is going to renovate a home, not in a situation where we're spending the money to renovate the home. But I may have read it differently, but it's really up to you, Lisa. If you want to take comment from someone on this, I think we received your letter and can digest it. But if you want to take comments, it'd be up to you.
I don't want to start that precedent right now. So I think we'll kindly deny Melzinga's request. I do think we need to straighten out a couple of things. One, what state are these properties going to be in? Two, we need a formula that is spelled out crystal clear how we arrive at the numbers that we quote. And is this going out, as Darius mentioned, to MLS, or is it going out for bid? We need to clarify that kind of stuff, and I don't have the answers.
Well, the way we did the previous house to home sales was a request for applications. And we have our standard application form that, asks for people's background, real estate experience and so forth, and their financing and an offer. And then it gets evaluated using our scoring criteria, which gives extra points for people who live in the city of Newburgh or within 15 miles of the property, for people who are from a racial group that has historically experienced mortgage discrimination, redlining. They have to be within the 80% area median income range. And I think mandatory is that they have no background in, no history of default and things of that nature.
Yeah. Okay.
So we would evaluate each application based on those scoring criteria.
Okay.
I would note from Ms. Cadigan that her email can be part of the record and will be part of the record. And I don't know if it's part of the
Mhm.
minutes that she's requesting, but it's part of the record and available and will be considered by the board.
He's saying she would like.
Absolutely.
that.
I understand, we were saying like it read, but it's not gonna be read into the record today. It's a long email, but it is part of the record. Ms. County.
Okay, are we more comfortable with this, or are we, are we at the point where we want to send out RFAs on all 4 properties?
Well, we were gonna suggest doing for just the Johnson properties, they're gonna be ready in December. The
Oh.
115 and 150 Lander will be later on. And
Oh,
so
okay,
we wanted to get the ball rolling on the sales for Johnson Street, just so we have buyers lined up. They're at a point where you can start showing them so that people can get their financing and any grant assistance lined up as soon as possible.
okay, so you're showing them at this point, or they can be shown at this,
We haven't yet, but we want to start doing that. We want to release the request for applications and set up some open houses so people can view the properties.
okay, but you're at that stage now.
That's what we would, yeah. So we want
Okay,
to
okay.
confirm the
So-
sales price. To put in the application.
Oh,
So
okay.
Jen, so that all makes sense. My question is, if someone is above 80% area median income, they are ineligible to send us an application, or they are eligible but may not, that may count against them, or how do we approach, or how do we deal with someone? And I don't recall, so that's why I'm asking. If
Well,
someone files
yeah.
an application but their income is above, they're disqualified?
I think it's strong preference given to 80% and below.
Okay.
For the enterprise grant.
Okay.
I think the limit is 100%, but we were trying to make it more affordable.
Just curious, because I
Yeah.
think we could get ourselves into a bit of a conundrum if we're bound to the 80%, but the appraised value is significantly higher. We could be in a position where we're guaranteed a loss on this property.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think what you do, I think you send out the requests for responses, then people submit, see what their eligibility is for that 80%. And if that's the way you want to go and we're not losing money, that may be something you can do. But if, it comes back and it's too low for the board and we're losing money, then you can expand the, the number of entities or people that would buy it. But I think maybe you can do that first, see where it goes and see how we're doing financially and then
Sure.
move on from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would be fine with that.
But we need to set a, I don't know what you call it, some kind of a price before the RFA goes out,
Like a minimum offer.
minimum bid.
Yeah.
What, Jen, do you have by property? I guess we could take the Leviticus loan and divide it in 4, but we have accounting on our investment for renovation property by property. And can you give us like what our property by property, what our break even is? If you just assume the Leviticus loan is divided 25% for each property, could you tell us that? That might at least give us
I don't know if I have a break
how we found
even.
that the appraisal value.
So the 260 amount for each building, if they were all 4 sold for 260, we would be able to pay off our loan. It would also, and have a little bit left over for us, but it means we're also put in on our own equity, like 275,000.
Out of all 4 properties.
So
Out of our cash reserves, yeah.
For the,
So
that
then we would come
275 is
out,
it total for the 4? Total for the 4?
yes. And then there's
about
so we
75 per
would have a
property.
profit of like 260,000. Although that might change because there's a couple of increased costs that maybe not be worked out, but it's, you know, our profit would be in that range of like 260,000 for all four
That's
buildings.
for all four. That's for all four. If we go with the appraisal values, that's what the profit would be?
No, if we go with the 260.
Oh, okay.
And that would
That
cover
doesn't, I mean,
the,
we've had other costs that aren't really included in the numbers because we've owned these buildings for a long time. But in terms of the current budget, that's what we're looking at. And so
would
some of
that,
that money has to go right back into, you know, the buildings and future projects that we're committing to.
and does that include the 275 we paid for maintenance and whatever we've done with these properties so far?
No, it just really includes what we're putting into the current renovations.
Okay.
So the loan is 675 and the current renovation value is 275?
No, the renovation, let me, for the totals. So it's 1.8 million total. That includes the enterprise funding from the AG's office of 927,000, land bank equity of 275,000, and the bridge loan of 675,000.
Okay, so if we just take it from an accounting perspective, not from our goals as it relates to who we'd like to sell these properties to, what you're saying is our investment is $1.8 million, and if we go with the 260, then our income is going to be $1 million.
No, our income would be 287,000. Which I'm
No. I'm saying the sale price of the four properties would be approximately $1 million. It would be about $1.1 million. Our investment is about $1.8 million. Now that may be a choice we make, but I'm missing where those numbers dictate a profit of 250,000.
I can show you the spreadsheet. It might be a little easier.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Jen,
think the
is that
spreadsheet
money
We're
from
also
the
including end user grants.
The money from the state, does it get paid back or no?
No,
So that 900 is not paid back. I think that's where the
right,
money
that's
is.
a grant that's a subsidy
Okay,
that stays with the project.
that's fine.
Yeah,
So if we're in,
But
just the math,
but we're in for 950 between the loan and our own equity.
Yes.
plus interest on the loan and other fees too.
yes.
Right. So call it $1 million.
Yeah.
If you sell them for 260, your profit's about 40 grand.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's very slim margin. And that's at these prices.
And I'm not proposing the land bank should make any windfalls, and it certainly shouldn't make any windfalls at the expense of local potential homeowners, because our mission is our mission. But I just think we need to be a little cognizant. I agree with what Jen said about going through the RFA process, but I think we have to be cognizant that with no guaranteed dependable grant income from the state, we need to be very aware of what we need to sustain ourselves as a land bank to do more good things going forward, which will come from the proceeds of property sales.
Yeah.
And
Well
these
said,
four
David.
these four properties that were blighted were renovated and now will be available for home ownership and home and occupancy by the people we're trying to assist. So I think our
That's the mission. I'm not, of course.
Yeah. So the price number has to make you whole, I think what you're saying, and hopefully it will. But going below that will be a detriment to the land bank, number one, because we'll be losing money, and then our mission will not be able to be to help others and other properties.
Right. That's my point. Is there's no real financial durability in the land bank right now. If we had $10 million cash on hand and we were going to lose 50,000 on this project, and it met the mission, and we made a strategic decision and a social decision to do that, it's one thing. I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact that we're not in that position right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. And we're, waiting on this loan to go through to even pay our contractors right now. Like it's that.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Jen and Lisa, I think we needed I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Terrence.
I was just gonna say, I know we've been talking some details and some general 30,000 foot things, but we will need an approval, a motion to approve the Leviticus loan as set forth in the proposal by Leviticus in the
Commitment letter.
Sorry.
Alrighty.
So we can get the money.
Well, yeah, I think considering all that we have on our agenda, we need to move on from this. So I will accept a motion to approve a commitment letter written by staff, Jen, for the Leviticus Fund.
I'm gonna make the motion, David.
Second.
Thanks, Ally. All in favor of the commitment letter for Leviticus? Raise your hand, say aye.
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 All righty. Thanks for getting us back on track, Darius.
That's great. That'll include the borrowing of the money as set forth in all other terms, and we'll be closing the loan probably, I think, next week, Jen, or at least our first call on what the lawyers is happening
Within the next month. Yeah.
All righty. Moving right along. Next meeting date and time. Very important. Very difficult to get everybody together. I don't like Zoom, but if that's easier to get as many bodies as we can, then we can continue to Zoom until the state says we can't, which I don't think will be before the end of the year. If everybody will quickly pull out their calendars right now, and let's look at the third week of November. Possibly the Wednesday again, and see what it looks like to people. Would this time on that date work?
The 17th.
The 17th? I know, Joe, you got to check with Angela.
Yeah, I got the calendar, Lisa. It looks good for me.
Oh, wonderful. How about you, David?
I'm going to be out of town at a conference, unfortunately, that day. So I'm not, and I'm going to be traveling. So I'm not going to be available on the 17th.
Okay. I'm assuming, Ramona, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the 17th works for me, 11:30, right?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Ally, is you there? Al?
11:30 would work for me on the 17th. Yep.
Okay. I'll contact Andre. Please remember, and you all have been so good, but we need to know if you're going to be attending these meetings as soon as possible, or if you're not going to be able to attend. We need to get some real continuity here, and it's been million reasons. It's been tough. So next month's meeting will be on the 17th of November at 11:30 a.m. I'm sorry, David, that you will have to miss it. We will stay in touch.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
Sure. Understood.
All righty, moving right along. Oh my goodness, the strategic planning with NICOM.
So I sent out a doodle poll some people have responded, but we need more people to respond to be able to set a date for the extended meeting to go through.
If you have not responded and you've lost it or something, please let her know. And just get some dates, because there's a lot of dates available and it's going to be hard to start whittling it down. So I think the last I checked, 3 people had responded. So there's a bunch of us out there who have not. And it's meant to be like a half-day session, correct?
Yes. I was looking at the agenda. You told me that Joe had to leave, so I want the only other real action item is the review of the RFP for 128 Du Bois.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if we need to go into executive session for that.
All righty. We can, do I need to make a motion to go into executive session, Darius? I never remember.
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session.
Lisa, I'll make that motion.
I'll make
Thanks,
the
Joe.
motion. I'll second it.
Thank you, David. All righty, so
All right, let me turn off recording.
stop the YouTube.